Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. Thank you for joining me today. For those that don't know you, would you like to give a bit of an overview of who you are?
My name is Mubal. I'm 21. I have been swimming for about 13 years. I'm from the Maldives. I have represented the Maldives since I was 13. So I've been doing that for about 8 years now. Yeah.
Pretty good. Now, I know you because we swim together and we're in Australia. When did you move from the Maldives to Australia?
I moved from the Maldives when I was 17. I was in year 12 and I got an opportunity from uh, the Maldives Olympic Committee where they said they'd give me a scholarship to pay for my training. And it's not a scholarship that you get easily or often. So it was either to let it go or um, not finish year 12 and then move here. And because I wanted to pursue my goals in swimming, I felt that I needed to take this step forward in my life. And now it's been 4 years since then.
Yeah, and I obviously know bits and pieces of your story because I know you personally.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know, why is the scholarship in the Maldives from the Olympic Committee to move to another country? Why? What is it about the Maldives that you need to relocate?
Well, we didn't really have facilities for it. Um, we didn't really do much of a gym. We just went to an oval and we just did some dry land. We don't even have a pool back then. We recently got a pool, I think, 2 years ago, and even that's not even a full length pool. It's only, I think, 5 lanes, pretty shallow as well. But the main reason was that I at the time was the best in the community for swimming, and I wasn't gonna get anything out of it. I felt like I was getting bored of the training. I was getting bored of swimming with everyone because there was just a gap and there was no one that I could clash with without just overwhelming like this. It was such a big difference. And then I I moved here and it was so much different. Like I felt such a big rush, regardless of the fact that I might be slower than everyone, but I was like, I can actually compete here and I can feel good and I'll actually learn a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And on the surface, when I think of the Maldives, I instantly think of water and beaches. They're very much surrounded by the
Yeah.
water, and Australia is the same. So, on the surface, you would think that they would be not necessarily known for swimming, but swimming would be quite popular and they would have
It's
the
quite
facilities.
well, it's not really. Our I guess you could say national sport is soccer because well, a lot of people are hooked on it, and to be fair, I'm not really in it. I had a lot of bad experiences with them. I went on a couple of tournaments with them, and they're really not the type of people that I'd like to be around. And most of them are pretty, I guess the word is too prideful. And, you know, and the swimming community is pretty small. Compared to here, water safety is a big thing. It's really big. Back home, it's not, which is surprising. And yeah.
Yeah. How would you compare the sporting culture in general, not just swimming, in the Maldives compared to in Australia?
I would have to say that the sporting community here is, even among sports, is a lot more united than back home. Um, I don't know about like corruption or anything, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of like fake stuff back home. Or maybe in like something like basketball or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't know. Compared to here, like swimming, in my opinion, it feels bland back home now. Like the community here is so intense and fierce, and it just gives me such a rush, regardless of the fact that I feel like this tiny person in this sea of like so many talented and fast swimmers.
Yeah. How did you find the transition moving here then? And what was it about Melbourne and then in particular Surrey Park that made you swim here?
Well, for the transition, I have to say, swimming wise, it wasn't that big because what happened was after I made the decision to move here, it took a while to get the visa to come here. And because there was some time and I already dropped out of year 12, my parents were like, oh, maybe we'll find some place for you to train for, like, just train for a couple of months until you're done. So there was this, it was like a sports resort where in Thailand called Tanyapura. And we sent a couple of our swimmers before there because they got a FINA scholarship, and they got really good training and they did really well. So we talked to the swimming federation back home, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can arrange for you to be there for like 3 months." So before I came to Australia, I did 3 months there, and it was brutal. It was probably like I was doing like 3K a session when I was back home. Back there, I was doing like double the sessions and double the Ks per session. So I was swimming wise, the transition was pretty nice into Australia. Um, in terms of I guess lifestyle, I had to change my diet quite a bit because I'm so used to seafood. Um, I started eating more salads, which is good because had I was a really picky eater. But after I moved here, I was like, I can't really be fussy about that anymore. So I changed that up. Um, I guess the hardest thing was setting up a routine because by then, when I first moved, I was still 17, and I have to like pay for my courses, pay for my rent, sort out my like savings and everything, and that was something I never initially did. So I think that was the biggest part of my transition. Like I still struggle every now and then, but I would say that's the biggest difference that I had.
Yeah, which is a lot for anyone, but for someone that's 17 in a foreign country, that's pretty massive.
Yeah. It was just good because when I moved here, because I was 17, I needed a guardian. Um which is also another reason why I picked Melbourne because my mom had a friends here. So if I needed any assistance, I can just ask them for some support. So because I was underaged, I needed to have a guardian. So it was pretty easy because because she was more than happy to welcome me into the house and everything. It made my transition smoother in that sense, like in terms of accommodation. And they even drop me for like in the mornings for training. They drop me, and I really appreciate that for them on that. In terms of why I picked Melbourne is I guess like the unis as well, because I knew that I didn't want to just swim when I came here because that would put a hold on my career in like life. So uni was a big deal as well. So I came here after I made the decision, or like I think it was like December of the year before I moved here, and I came to look around. I checked around RMIT and places. They didn't really offer what I wanted, but Swinburne, which is where I'm studying right now, offered a little bit more leniency and like flexibility. So I was like, yeah, I think I'll pick here. And I guess in the sense that why I picked Surrey Park was that at first I thought I'd just look around. I knew that at the time Nana was the best among like the area. So I checked with them, but I didn't really like the environment and the vibe that they were giving out. And then I tried here, and I came for a trial. I'm not sure who the coach was at the time. He's not in the club at the moment, but he was so friendly and open. And I joined in for one session with a couple of them, and everyone was so lively. So it felt really open, like I wanted to be here,
Yeah.
which is one of the, I guess, the biggest reasons. And then later, after I moved here, I met Popey, who was the head coach at the time, and he was great. Like he's definitely one of the reasons why I was like, I'll definitely stay here for a long time.
Yeah. How do you think then, because you are here without necessarily any family, how important do you think having a club and a squad with that support and that culture, how important is that to you?
I think it's really important because I know that I get homesick quite a bit. Even though I don't really say it to my parents because I don't want to worry them, I do get homesick quite a bit. But because of the environment that the club has set, it feels like a second home. Swimming has always been a second home to me, which is, because like I just loved water and I just fell in love with swimming. And with people that are so enthusiastic about swimming in the same environment, it just felt good. So
Yeah. And you've been to a few international competitions.
yeah,
Tokyo being one of them for the Olympics.
the biggest one. Yeah,
And I mean, being in Melbourne, we've had the longest lockdown in the world, so it's a pretty shitty lead-in.
yeah.
How did you go in Tokyo then, and what was the lead-in like for you?
Yeah, I have to say I was pretty annoyed with the lead-in because there were so many problems that came into Tokyo. Because at first I wasn't supposed to go because there was a lot of mishaps happening. Because of COVID, they changed the rules around where they said that the national federations are picking who goes. And they had a trial, and at the time, I just came out of lockdown. I think it was the third one or something. And I only had like a weekend of training, and I was like, that's not gonna work. I'm not gonna make this. If you do it like that, you have to understand. But they didn't really have a choice. I missed it by like a couple of points, but I was pretty happy with what I did. Um, but it changed again, probably like I think 2 weeks before the Olympics or like a month. I'm not entirely sure. Where FINA had a change in their like executive board, and they were like, "Oh, why is not the fastest one going?" Like the one with the highest FINA points, and they said, "Oh, we're changing this because you people are taking advantage of the situation right now." So I had a very short time to get back into the rhythm of actually like racing in the Olympics, and there was a lot of technical stuff because at the time Australia was in massive lockdown. No one could get in or get out unless they had a solid reason. So one of the problems that I had was that if I left, I wouldn't be able to come back in, and that was not an option that I would had to take. So, with the help of like my mom's family friend and with some help from the government back home as well, we had to write up a lot of letters or a lot of like exemptions in order for me to actually get visa to come back in, like saying that I went there to represent my country and I just want to come back so that I can study and train and everything. So leading up, I was stressed. I got the confirmation a day before I left. So I did not know, actually not even a day. I think my flight was like in the morning and I found out the night before. So I packed as soon as I found out. I thought I wasn't going to get it. And at the time, we were even locked down as well because I think it was a snap lockdown for like a week. So leading into it, I was a week inside the house. I didn't get any pool time. I tried to find a way, even if it's in MSAC, but there was no way that I could do it. So I was stressed. I was only doing like some body weight workouts, some cycling. Or it was just it was a mess. But I have to say that the race that I did was probably one of the best races that I've done, regardless of my time. I still hit a PB, but considering the conditions, I have to say that I felt it was one of the best races that I've done.
Yeah, and there's so many questions that I want to ask you. And the first one would be, and initially when you found out that you weren't chosen, that it was someone else going before that decision was changed, how did you take that decision? How did it feel?
I was annoyed, angry as well, because the whole reason they gave me that scholarship was so that I can go and give a solid time at the Olympics. That was the scholarship was an Olympic Solidarity Scholarship. So it was for me to get the funds to train and do whatever I want up until Tokyo. So for them to send me and be 3 years into my training and then for them to be like, no, you're not going, was like, it was like getting slapped in the face by like a brick. I was so annoyed. It just, I just wanted to, I just wanted to hit something, hit someone. I don't know. I was so mad that day. But I also knew that the person that I raced against also deserved it because he also worked hard. But I was not happy with how they did the selection. It felt rigged to me because what happened was they were like, oh, we need you to do a 50 and then hundreds only. And those are not my strong suits. My strong suits are mid distance and the 400s. So I felt like I was at a disadvantage. I had to do events that I'm not usually used to. And I still almost made it. It was just, there's some other conditions where we got to try it every now and like we get 3 tries to hit our times. And I was able to hit like under PB for like, I think on my first try. And then the other guy did it. If both of us did 1 try each, I would have gotten in. But he went for another try, and his times got faster. And that's the one reason why it felt unfair to me, because I didn't have the time to put in any more trial runs, because I was cooked after that one session, because I only had a week of training in. So, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it pretty hard. And then, you know, it's not a very long turnaround between saying, you know, you're not the person we've chosen to actually now you are.
Yeah.
How do you then go from acceptance of, okay, it's not me, you know, I'll just keep training and keep working towards the next thing, to actually you're going now?
Well, it took a while for me to be like, well, you might not be going this time, but now is the time to pick yourself up and get ready for the next one, so that you can absolutely smash everyone and show that you deserve to be there the last time and you deserve to be here this time. But as soon as I told them, I was confused because I didn't know why they changed it now. And after I found out why, I was like, so it wasn't my fault that I wasn't chosen. It was just
The system.
I was supposed to go. It was just something that it was just a system against me at the time. And I guess I felt a sense of relief, in the sense that I felt that all the work that I put in was worth it. But I also was like, oh God, I have to swim without taper, without properly getting ready, and without fully sorting out whether or not I'm actually going to be able to get out of the country and come back. So it was relief it was a lot of pressure, and at the end of the day, I was still happy because it's still what I wanted to do.
Yeah, 100%. How do you then go from such a high pressure situation of trying to get organized to go in, and then when you arrive, do you think that all the stress leading in could have played a part or impacted your performance?
I would have to say, as soon as I found out that I got the exemption to come back in, and I packed, um, I was fine. As soon as I found out about that, everything sort of melted, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually going to be able to go. This is the moment that I have been waiting for like 4 years. And after that, I was just so excited. I didn't even care about the fact that I was in lockdown for like a week, or the fact that I haven't been properly training or anything. At that time, I felt so happy that I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter how much shit it led into. You still get about a week to get ready before, because I was doing the 100 free, and there was a couple of days before that, and I think I arrived a week before, and I was like, you know what? I get this amount of days. I'm going to use that time properly. I'm going to do everything that I want to do so that I can be ready. And the first thing that I did as soon as we started up training and stuff was that I set up a routine for myself during training. I do my warm up the same. I do my stretches the same, like leading into it, before I get in the water, everything the same, so that I know that this is what I'm going to do every single day up until the race, so that I know it's time to punch the gun. Like, and I feel like that preparation definitely helped.
Do you think that helped with your nerves as well? Because I can
100%.
imagine, like, standing behind the blocks at the Olympic Games is probably the most nervous you're ever going to be in your life.
I have to say it's 100%. I was so surprised because usually before, like, if in those international competitions, I'd be such a nervous wreck. I'd be so stressed out. It's like I had so many thoughts going through, rushing in my head at that time. I was on an adrenaline rush, and they were good times, but I was panicking through all those races that I did. But when I went into that with the routine and everything, by the time I was at the blocks, it just felt quiet. My head felt like it was just in a state of calm, and I was still in that adrenaline rush, but it wasn't like all over the place. It's contained. It felt like I was ready. Like, I might have not gotten what I wanted in a time, but that race, in terms of how I did it, I feel like in an international tournament was one of the best executed races that I have done.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably the best, like, number one in my book.
Yeah. What was the atmosphere like at Tokyo, which we know is no crowd, compared to, like, you've been to Worlds pre-COVID where there would have been people in the stands? What was the atmosphere like in comparison?
I'll be honest that most of the time, by the time I'm at the blocks, everything blocks out. I don't listen. I don't hear anyone. It felt like I already felt like people were watching me. I didn't even look at the stands. I didn't see any people. Like, even at Worlds as well, I don't look at the stands. I don't look at the people. I'm just there. I look at the blocks. I look at the other swimmers. I look at the lane that I'm on. It's just everything that's not in my point of view at the time, that is not swimming. It's all blocked out. I do not see anything. In that sense, I didn't feel much of a difference, because it didn't matter to me whether someone was there shouting or anything, because I didn't register it in my head. It wasn't there. It was just background music. Like, it was like background music. I didn't think much of it. I didn't see much of a difference in that.
Do you think you feel a sense of pressure, whether that's from yourself or even from other people, in the sense that, you know, you have a scholarship from the Maldives and you're sort of expected, like in quotations, to perform at a certain level? Do you feel like there's a pressure?
100%. I definitely felt pressure. I put pressure on myself for a while until I was like, you know what, you're doing a good job. Um, it doesn't matter how much pressure you put on yourself, as long as you know you're doing your best, it's okay. And I know there's a lot of pressure from back home because at the time, only recently have there been swimmers that have been able to like train abroad like me. There's one person that went to Russia who I was competing against for the trials. Like he went to Russia after the trials. But I think there's a big pressure because I'm getting this special training and facilities and all this. So like they expected me to just do things like to their standards. Like even after the Olympics, where regardless of the sense that I feel I did my best race and I did a PB, it was a good, like well executed race. I still got comments from back home. I recall there being, I think this some coach for running or something. I don't know. Him saying, "Oh, he went at 58. That's not even close to the record time. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be better." And at the time, I was like, I really want to say something at him, but I don't even know him. He doesn't know what I've been through. He doesn't know what challenges that I faced going in. He doesn't know my mental state. Like he barely knew what sort of situation I was on, and he was judging me based on the fact on my performance. And while it was something that I wanted to address, I felt that if I addressed it, he would win. And I didn't want to give him the benefit of being like, I felt the need to address him on such a silly comment that he made based on zero, based on minimal knowledge that he found just from one race that he saw.
Yeah, and I could be way off base in asking this question, and feel free to say no that you don't want to answer if you don't want to. Do you feel like there is, I word it, like a sense of judgment or pressure from even people within our squad or club, just within Victoria, in the sense that, you know, there's people in our squad or in the club that are swimming same times or faster that aren't swimming at the Olympics or aren't getting the opportunity to swim at Worlds?
I have to say every now and then I do feel like it, which is why at the time I felt, well, I don't like bringing it up all the time. I bring it up when I talk to Michael because he's my coach. So I obviously need to talk to him because he's the one that's going to prep me for my tournament. And now I don't really care even if I bring it up like that. But before I was like, I don't want to sound like I'm this pretentious, like, person who's being boastful about being able to do something while being at the same level or even like at a lower level than them. Like, I know that I'm getting a privilege that many like absolutely kill. Like they go through hours and hours of training and they don't get it. Like I realize that, but I'm doing the best that I can. And I feel that even though I may not be as fast as like the other swimmers, like even not in this community, like even in other countries, like I see so many people my age that are so much faster than me going. And now it's like they're doing their best and I'm doing mine. The only reason why I'm able to go is because I was born in a different place. It's not something I can control. I'm still doing what I can. And, you know, I don't mind if they judge me for it. It's not, I'm not the one controlling that. It was just something that was placed upon me by birth. I'm just making the most out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's sort of what people need to remember, in the sense that, you know, whilst they could be jealous of your situation, I think that's because if they were in your position, they would take it too. They still want it.
Like, if the opportunity came to them, they would also do it. I agree 100%. But regardless of the fact that I get these opportunities, I do not look at myself as lucky for these situations, because even though I get to go to these, I still be like, I may have gone to these, but I'm still not the level I want to be at these, if you get what I'm saying. Because my biggest goal is to make the Olympics after making the times. I don't care how many Olympics that I go to based on the wild card system that they have, that we are in. I want to be able to go to the Olympics by saying that I made the times to make this, and I qualified from the amount of hours and work that I put in. Then will I say, like, I will be honestly proud to say that I'm an Olympian. I'm still proud to say that I'm an Olympian, but when I reach that level, I would have to say I feel like an actual one.
Yeah, 100%. On a different note, do you have an embarrassing swim story?
Embarrassing. It's not really embarrassing. I would have to say that when I think it was like 2014 or something. It was like as soon as I started up international stuff and we got like small training camps and stuff, and I hit puberty. So my times were like shredding. I was shredding all my PBs, and what happened was I think it was from like 2014 all the way up until 2019. Every single tournament I went to, they take me to test for doping. Every single time. There was even one time, I think it was at the Asian Games in Jakarta, where I did my doping in the morning, and late at night before I was playing we were playing card games with the other swimmers, and they came in looking for another person. I was like, oh, someone else is getting doping, but then they were like, no, you are. And I was like, what? And I was like, but I took it this morning. And they were like, really? Can you show your form? And I showed them the form, and I was like, and they were like, oh yeah, my bad, I thought you didn't do it. So it was it's pretty funny. I laugh at it. I guess I'm used to it now, but at the start I was like, oh my god, again. Like, it eventually got to a point where I was so used to getting asked, I'd be prepared. I'd be like, oh yeah, he's coming for me. Then I'd be like I'd make sure that I was ready to like take a piss and give my doping and stuff. I was like, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
It's funny.
Just too many PBs.
Yeah, I was hitting PBs. I was hitting PBs every single time I did the international tournament, and I was making national records on them as well. Like, I understand why they would take me twice in the Asian Games, because I think that was the time where I hit, like, I absolutely killed it. I made how many was it? I think it was 5 national records individually and 3 national relay records. So that was a big tournament, and that was only like a couple of months in after I moved here.
Yeah, that's quite extensive.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure I did. I did like about 5. Yeah, there was like 5 events that I did, and I hit everything. So that's pretty good. Yeah,
that is pretty good. What would you say is something that you're most proud of about yourself?
Most proud of about myself. That's a good question, because I actually need to think about that, because regardless of how many tournaments I've gone to, I'm not that proud in the sense that I get to go there. I'm more proud of how I've been racing. One of the I guess apart from the one in Tokyo, I would have to say is one that I did. It was a meet here. I think it was metro distance meet or something. Um, it was a 400 free. I haven't done a 400 free in a while at that time. Uh, I did like a nice warm up before I got there at training, and everything felt like it was clicking at the time. And I was still pretty anxious because that was after like a little setback that I had. Um, that I was actually doing something that was a little bit long distance. But when I did that race, it was like one of the most. It was like effortless. I did that race so nicely, and I was able to finish like the last 100 of that 400. I literally sprinted it. I felt that good. I was like, you know what? I'll just sprint the whole thing, and I was able to get the like. I think I was third place. Where by the time I fit in that 300, but by the end of the 100, like the fourth 100, I was like way ahead of like the lead as well. So it was like really good, and I cut off like 9 seconds from my PB. It was amazing. I felt such a high that
Yeah,
day.
I bet.
Yeah.
What is your favorite quote or the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I would have to say that it has to be that you learn a lot more from losing than you do from winning, which I realized after I moved here, because at the time I was just back home, I was just winning and winning. Like even in nationals, I did almost every event that there was possible, and I won all of them. So I wasn't. I felt like I was plateauing there, but I moved here, and I was every single time I made a mistake, I was like, I can change that, and I can change that, and I can change that, and I feel like the losses. Well, it's not even a loss even, because like the more you make a mistake, the more you can improve on it. Which is why, like, if I look at a race, like if I do a shitty race, like I might be like, I did like a 208 for my 200 free, and it felt like garbage, and I felt did garbage technique. So I'd be like, imagine if I can change these things that I felt that I did wrong, and it'd be so much better. Like I got into that mindset, and I was like, doesn't matter if I make a mistake, regardless of where the setting is, training, racing, or even in an international race as well. If I make a mistake, the only thing I'll get out of it, I might like feel like a little disappointed, but I'll still get lessons out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I have.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's almost harder in a way to be at the top or execute a race perfectly, because like, oh cool, like that's awesome, but like where do I go from here?
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely felt that when I was back home for a while. There's a time where I was like, I don't really feel like training because there's no one that could like keep up. I was doing sets, and I'd finish by the time most of them were still doing it, and I'd be like, I don't really want to do this, because can you give me something faster, something better? But I didn't. I also didn't want to be like, can you just give me a set by myself? Because I felt shitty to like do that to everyone else. Like like at the time it was like I was leading everyone in, and if I do that, it's like I'm cutting myself off as well. But yeah.
Yeah. And then the last question I have for you is, do you have any tips or advice for those that are listening or been in the sport for ages or even new into the sport that want to work their way up?
Well, I guess the one thing is that um, tips is consistency is a bigger play in it than you realize. routines, consistency, and just the amount of effort you put in, it goes a long way. You might not see it at the start, you might not see it in the middle, you might not see it like close to the end as well. But once you, I don't know, it's different for different people. Like, I would have to say that I recently felt like I just had a click and everything sort of like moving smoothly again, like even better than before. It's just because I have felt that I've been keeping everything together, that I've been putting the effort, and it's built up. And I feel like it's one of the biggest things that you should do is, regardless of how much natural talent you have, if you want to make something out of what you want to do, you need that consistency and you need to give in your 100% in order for you to achieve what you want. And yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today and sharing your swimming career story. It's been really good knowing more, even though we swim together, and I still am learning more and more.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here. It was really fun to actually talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it.